Ever wondered about the best cattle grazing techniques? Well, you're in the right place because today, we're going to delve into this riveting topic. Cattle grazing techniques, simply put, are the methods employed by farmers and ranchers to manage the way their cattle feed on pastures. These techniques are far from being a one-size-fits-all deal. They vary based on numerous factors such as the type of cattle, the size of the herd, the nature of the land, and even the climate. Now, you might be wondering, why does it matter how cattle graze? Well, the answer to that lies in the intricate relationship between cattle, their health, and the sustainability of the land they graze on. Proper grazing techniques ensure that cattle are well-fed and healthy. They also play a critical role in preserving the fertility of the land, preventing soil erosion, and promoting biodiversity. In essence, effective cattle grazing is a win-win situation for both the cattle and the land. But here's the thing, mastering these techniques is not a walk in the park. It requires knowledge, patience, and a fair bit of trial and error. But don't worry, we've got you covered. Here at Farming Knowhow, we're dedicated to providing you with the insights and tips you need to make your farming endeavors a success. If you find our content valuable, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We have plenty of informative videos lined up for you. In the upcoming segments, we'll be exploring different types of cattle grazing techniques, their benefits, and how to choose the right one for your farm. We'll also be sharing some tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your grazing strategy. So, buckle up as we dive deep into the world of cattle grazing techniques. It's going to be an exciting journey, and we're thrilled to have you with us. Let's get started, shall we? Now, there are various cattle grazing techniques that farmers use worldwide. Let's discuss some of the most common ones. First up, we have rotational grazing. This is a system where cattle are moved between pastures, also known as paddocks, on a regular basis. The idea behind this technique is to allow the grass in the ungrazed paddocks to recover before the cattle return. The frequency of moving the cattle can vary. It might be every few days or every couple of weeks, depending on the size of the herd and the quality of the pasture. Next, we have continuous grazing. As the name suggests, this is where cattle have unrestricted access to pasture throughout the grazing season. This is a common method due to its simplicity, but it requires careful management to prevent overgrazing. Overgrazing can lead to soil erosion and a decrease in pasture quality, so it's important to keep a close eye on your herd and your land. Then there's strip grazing. This technique involves dividing the pasture into narrow strips or blocks. Cattle are allowed to graze in one strip at a time, and once they've grazed it down, they're moved to the next strip. The strip they've just left is then left to recover. This method is often used when the quality of the pasture is variable, as it allows farmers to control where their cattle graze and for how long. Another technique is mob grazing, where a large number of cattle are kept in a small area for a short period of time. This results in intensive grazing, followed by a long recovery period for the land. It's a technique that can help improve soil health and increase biodiversity. Finally, there's creep grazing. This is where calves are allowed access to high-quality pasture that the adult cattle can't reach. This helps the calves to grow and develop faster. All these techniques have their own pros and cons. It's all about finding the one that fits your needs and the needs of your land. You might be wondering, why is it so important to use proper cattle grazing techniques? Well, let's delve into the numerous benefits these methods can offer. The first and perhaps most significant advantage is the improvement of your cattle's overall health. Proper grazing techniques ensure that your cattle have a balanced diet. They get to consume a variety of grasses and forage, which provide them with the necessary nutrients to stay healthy and robust. This varied diet also reduces the reliance on supplemental feeds, leading to significant savings in the long run. A healthier herd doesn't just mean fewer vet visits. It also translates into increased productivity. When your cattle are in top-notch health, they produce more milk, and we all know, more milk equals more profit. So, implementing the right grazing techniques can directly contribute to your farm's profitability. Now, let's talk about another crucial aspect, the fertility of your land. You see, cattle grazing isn't just about feeding your herd, it's also about land management. When done correctly, grazing can help maintain and even enhance soil fertility. How does this work? Well, as the cattle graze, they naturally fertilize the soil with their manure. This natural fertilization process enriches the soil with essential nutrients, promoting the growth of healthy, vibrant pastures. Furthermore, proper grazing techniques can also prevent overgrazing, which is detrimental to the land. Overgrazing can lead to soil erosion and degradation, which can be a nightmare for any farmer. By managing how your cattle graze, you can maintain the quality and productivity of your land for years to come. And let's not forget about the environmental benefits. Sustainable grazing practices can help mitigate climate change by promoting carbon sequestration in the soil. This means your farm can contribute to a greener, healthier planet. So, as you can see, using the right cattle grazing techniques can have a massive impact on your farming business. Not only does it ensure the health and productivity of your cattle, but it also preserves the fertility of your land and even helps the environment. Now that's what we call a win-win-win situation. Now that we know about the different techniques and their benefits, how do we choose the right one for us? Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer, and a lot depends on your individual circumstances. So let's delve into some factors that can guide your decision. First up, consider the size of your herd. A handful of cows can be managed differently than a large herd of hundreds. Smaller herds often do well with rotational grazing, which involves moving the cattle between different pastures. On the other hand, larger herds may benefit from continuous grazing where cattle have unrestricted access to a large grazing area. Next, look at the size and type of your land. If you have a large, sprawling ranch, a technique like strip grazing might be a good fit. This involves dividing the land into narrow strips that are grazed sequentially. But if your land is smaller or has varied terrain, you might consider spot grazing, where cattle are encouraged to graze in specific areas to reduce overgrazing. The type of forage you have available is also a key consideration. Some grasses can handle heavy grazing, while others need more recovery time. Understanding your forage's growth patterns and nutritional content can help you determine the best grazing method. Don't forget about the local climate. In areas with long, cold winters, you might want to use a technique like stockpile grazing, where you reserve a portion of your pasture for grazing during the colder months. In warmer, drier regions, rotational grazing can help prevent overgrazing and maintain pasture health. And finally, consider your management style and resources. Some techniques require more labor, infrastructure, or management than others. It's important to choose a method that you can sustain over the long term. Remember, the right grazing technique for you depends on your specific situation. Always consider your options carefully before making a decision. So, let's quickly recap what we have learned today. We started our journey into the fascinating world of cattle grazing techniques, exploring the different types and their unique characteristics. We learned that rotational grazing, continuous grazing, and strip grazing are just a few of the many techniques available to farmers. Each of these methods serves a unique purpose and offers different benefits. Rotational grazing, for instance, allows for more efficient use of pasture, while continuous grazing requires less labor. We then delved into the benefits of proper cattle grazing techniques. We discovered that these techniques can significantly increase the productivity and sustainability of our farms. They help improve the quality of the pasture, reduce overgrazing, and manage weed growth. Moreover, they can also contribute to the overall health and well-being of our cattle, leading to more robust and healthier herds. We also shared some handy tips on how to choose the right grazing technique. Remember, it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. The best technique depends on several factors, including the size of your herd, the type of pasture you have, and your specific management goals. It's always a good idea to consider these factors and consult with an expert if needed. But above all, we emphasize that implementing proper cattle grazing techniques is not just about improving farm productivity. It's about stewarding the land we're entrusted with, promoting sustainable farming practices, and contributing to a healthier planet. So, whether you're a seasoned farmer or someone just starting in the field, we hope that this video has provided you with valuable insights into the world of cattle grazing techniques. Remember, the key to successful farming lies in continuous learning and adaptation. That's all for today, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Farming Know-How for more farming tips and tricks. Happy farming!